we are absolutely delighted to be here today, to meet all of you. And I have to say, I think also on behalf of Jenna, that this collaboration with Opera Latino America has become the most fulfilling and inspiring collaboration that I think we have on the project, because of the energy and the passion that you all bring to the world of opera, and also the incredible talent, the beautiful natural voices, and the expression and the communication that you give. So this is really a huge pleasure. I understand that you have my CV. I want to introduce myself nevertheless, just to explain a little bit where I come from and my professional experience. So I have 20 years experience now in casting, in artistic administration and artistic direction. So I started my career at San Francisco Opera. So I was working in auditions. I was working with the young artists. I then went to Scottish Opera. I did a lot of work with young singers with regards to staging. I then spent 6 years in France in Opéra de Limoges, which is a very small theatre in France, but a very interesting theatre because we had the passion and the vision to really trust young singers and to give a lot of, let's say, the successful singers today their first chance to try out new roles in a smaller theatre where there's less pressure and where there was time to work. And it was a wonderful experience to work in that environment. And then I went straight from the smallest theatre in France to the biggest theatre, because then I spent 6 years as deputy casting director of Opéra de Paris. So this was, going, let's say, from third league to Champions League division. And it was a very big learning curve. It was a very interesting experience. Of course, very high pressure. There I worked with, of course, the biggest names in opera, singers, conductors, stage directors. And I learned, obviously, let's say, everything one needs to know about working on the highest level. So it was very much throughout my whole career, I can say that I've worked with all different people, all different artists on all different levels. So I now feel in a position to give some advice, to help you with your careers. Jenna, do you want to introduce yourself at this point too?
Sure, I think that's a good idea. So then you can go into your section. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, Paulina, can you translate a bit about the Julia have said before, just to make a stop here?
A grandes rasgos, no tomé apunte de todo, pero Julia tiene una carrera bastante extensa en lo que se refiere a trabajar en casas de ópera. Partió en París, no, perdón. Bueno, trabajó en Escocia, en una pequeña casa de ópera en Francia también, y de ahí ha participado en varias otras organizaciones y teatros. Ahora Jenna va a pasar a presentarse también. Voy a tratar de estar haciendo esta traducción simultánea de vez en cuando para los que no hablan inglés. Julia and Jenna, I don't know if you got that, but if you, I'm going to be translating simultaneously,
okay,
kind of in a while between what you're saying for people that are not English speakers. Is that okay?
Sure, pleasure.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Jenna Wolf. I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota in the US, a place where opera does not live. So I found opera a bit later in my life. I'm an instrumentalist actually by trade. My degrees are in performance on the horn. I'm a French horn player. But I fell in love with opera when I saw some professional productions in graduate school. I loved it so much that I applied for an internship at Minnesota Opera, a wonderful regional opera house in the US that produces a lot of new works, actually. It's known for world premieres, including a Pulitzer Prize winning premiere called Silent Night. And I sort of worked my way through the ranks there and was in development. So fundraising, some work in events. And also I eventually left the company full time, but stayed on as an external relations consultant. So I did fundraising and communications work for the company around the US. I also had the opportunity to liaise with my colleagues in communications and marketing a lot while I was at Minnesota Opera, and learned a lot from them, and have translated that experience to my new roles in life now. I am a publicist at a company called Lenny's Studio. We handle websites and digital marketing, so social media, PR, and special projects for some really top names in the business. A lot of people you'd recognize: Joyce DiDonato, Eileen Perez, Thomas Hampson, Luca Pisarroni, just a really wonderful group of artists. Pablo Eres Casado, we've got conductors, a whole mix of people. And so I do PR work at Lenny's Studio for that. In Opera for Peace, I'm the development and communications consultant, so working on fundraising strategies and then also some in communications as well. And I have sort of a third hat that I wear because I think all of us have many jobs in life, especially during these times. At Lenny's Studio, we're now working with the classical streaming platform Adagio, which is a great place you can go and listen to classical music, but it also now has a visual streaming platform for concerts called the Global Concert Hall. So I'm part of the team for the Global Concert Hall as well. So we can all connect and make sure artists get paid to perform during this time, even when it's on video. So that's me. That's my professional experience.
Great.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Jen. Sorry. Do you want to translate, Paulina?
Yeah, quickly. Just a summary of Jenna's career. She's from Dakota, in the USA. She was trained as a musician, and then she moved to Minnesota Opera, where she started working in communication. I'm sorry, I'm speaking in English.
Paulina, en español. Okay.
Lo siento. Ya, estadounidense, estudió música y después entró a trabajar en la Casa de Ópera de Minnesota, donde estuvo en el departamento de comunicación y de fundraising, que es como recaudación de fondos, y eso también la llevó a trabajar en eventos. Ahora está trabajando en una agencia publicitaria en la que trabajan con artistas bastante reconocidos, y además colabora con Opera for Peace en el área de comunicación y también de fundraising. Y la tercera área en la que ella también se desempeña es Adagio, que es una plataforma de streaming, y en particular con este proyecto que se llama Global Concert Hall, o como sala de concierto global, donde los cantantes actúan y reciben también un pago por eso. Ese es el resumen. Julia.
Thank you, Paulina. So, so I'm general director of a new project called Opera for Peace, Leading Young Voices of the World, and I left Opéra de Paris to co-found this project, and I did so because, over now of 40 years old, I thought it was the right time to use all my experience to do something very important for the future of our field. From working over many years with all these different artists, I understood, and with my colleagues, we understood that something new had to happen for us to move forward in a positive way. And one of the first things we realized is that artists today, because artists are people like everybody else in the world, artists want and need to better relate to the world in which we live in. What does that mean? That means that artists know that with talent comes responsibility. I think you understand that you have a unique way of communication, and this is something that can do good joy to many people, and this can also be pushed, especially with what's happening in the world today, to do something meaningful. So we created this project. We launched just 8 months ago, so it's relatively new. But in this very short space of time, we have become the largest network for young artists in the world. So we have the most amount of partners, of artists behind us, of people who believe in what we want to do. So what we want to do is give opportunities and equal opportunities to young artists in the world. We want to help you in your career. We want to create a better world, something that we can all build on. Our values, which we see are more and more important in the world, are diversity, equality, affordable and accessible education. We know education is number one. Artistic excellence. We work with the best coaches in the world, with the best on the highest level, because of course, opera is such a difficult and demanding career that it needs a lot of training and guidance. And we believe that hearing different voices from people from different cultures enriches the art form for everyone. We especially give support to artists from, let's say, disadvantaged backgrounds and from artists in geographically isolated areas. So we have a very big mission. And how we do this, just a couple of words about our work. We work in 4 main areas. So the first area is educational and cultural exchanges. So we have over 70 partners, opera houses, festivals, theatres, orchestras. And through our young artist programs of our operas, we allow artists to have experiences in different theatres according to their voice type. So our first exchange, for example, was between Houston Grand Opera and Opera Australia. So we gave the opportunity for a young artist, a young Chinese base, William Guambosu, to spend 3 weeks in Sydney. So this gave him the opportunity to go to another continent, meet new people. He auditioned there. He built up his network. So we're broadening young artists' horizons. The second part, which is maybe the most important, is we give opportunities, performance opportunities. So we actually work in collaboration with our partners to create events and to actually give work to young artists, because as you know, what you want to do is to perform, is to communicate, is to have the opportunity to show yourself and who you are, and also to make money. So we work with some of the biggest opera houses in the world to some of the smallest, and we have many different opportunities, concerts, performances, recitals, semi-staged opera, everything like this. The third part is something that we started last year, which we now see is becoming more popular with the lockdown and with the health crisis, which is a lot of online work. Because we work with artists from all over the world, some of the artists only have access to digital means. So we give online lessons in collaboration with our ambassadors, with our advisors. We also do something called ambassador talks. I don't know if any of you were here for Aileen Perez's talk or Isabel Leonard. This is through Opera for Peace. So these are artists that want to give their time, that understand what we're trying to do, that understand giving back is important. So we facilitate these talks. We also put together masterclasses, and we will be doing residencies, musical artistic residencies in the future. The fourth part of our work is our special artistic projects. So we work with composers, we work with production teams, and these projects all have, let's say, a musical diplomatic feel to them to increase understanding between different people. We have young artists learning opera in different languages. We have started our development of opera in Arabic. So I'm sorry, guys, another language for you to learn, which is very complicated, I know. But we have to be pragmatic. Where are people building opera houses at the moment is in the Middle East. So if you want to have more opportunities, if you want to have more work, you will most likely be working in the Middle East in the future. So how to sing in Arabic. We also have a lot of work in Africa, in South Africa, in many different parts of the world. Where I want to start, and I think you already all understand this because you're all here, is the importance of networking. Paulina, do you want to translate?
Yes.
I did
a lot. I'm sorry.
Bueno, contarles un poco que lo que estaba hablando Julia era relacionado con la organización que ella lidera, que es Opera for Peace, que es Leading Young Voices of the World, o liderando, canalizando las jóvenes voces hacia el mundo. Y este proyecto surgió por una necesidad de que los artistas se relacionen mejor con el mundo y en el que estamos viviendo, considerando que ustedes también son como comunicadores y hacen el bien a la gente a través del trabajo que ustedes entregan. Esta organización se lanzó recién hace 8 meses y es una de las más grandes redes de artistas jóvenes. Y los principales como campos de acción o objetivos de la organización es dar oportunidad, igualdad a los artistas jóvenes, construir un mundo mejor, y los valores básicos son la diversidad, igualdad, que sea affordable, como accesible, y obviamente relacionado con la formación o el desarrollo y a un nivel de buena calidad. ¿Qué más? Las 4 áreas principales de acción de Opera for Peace son la Education and Cultural Exchange, o intercambio cultural y educacional entre teatros, festivales, y por ejemplo, un ejemplo puntual de esto es un intercambio que se realizó entre Houston y Sydney, en el que un cantante de Houston pasó 3 semanas en Sydney, en esta especie como de intercambio. Después el segundo es performance, dar oportunidades de actuar, creando eventos y trabajando con pequeñas y grandes casas de ópera. El tercero es en el área de la formación a través de online lessons, como clases online, talks, que tiene que ver con las charlas que por ejemplo hemos hecho con Aileen y Isabel, masterclasses y residencias. Y la cuarta tiene que ver con proyectos artísticos que están desarrollando y que tienen un tono como musical diplomático, por decirlo así, y ahora están trabajando con una ópera en árabe. Y ahí Julia comenta que se están construyendo muchas casas de ópera en el Middle East, en el Medio Oriente, así que consideren eso también como en un futuro quizás no muy lejano que esa pueda ser un campo laboral importante. Eso. Julia.
Thank you. Thank you. So, so first point, and I think this is maybe the most important, is the importance of a network. The people you know, the energy you give out, and being surrounded, and this is, I think, valuable for everything in life, being surrounded by supportive and positive people. Whether that's your family, whether that's your friends, whether that's your partner, your network and your entourage will be the most important thing in your career when you need support. And if you have, let's say, people in your life that are negative, get rid of them, guys, because this is this is toxic, and this is not going to help you in your career. When I was in Paris, I worked, of course, intimately with artists, and I got to know a lot of their families. And, you know, the artists that are the most successful and the most secure are the ones that have stable relationships, partners that support what they do. They don't always have to be in the theatre, but they're a positive presence in their lives. Of course, you know, being an artist is giving yourself, it's being vulnerable, and I don't think anyone can do it alone. So it's important to have someone there, or people that you can talk to, people that you can trust. Following on from that is the importance of mental health, looking after your mental health. I saw so many artists in Paris just collapse. I had to deal with panic attacks. I had to deal with a lot of people who you just felt were falling apart from the pressures of the job. People that were rehearsing, people that we had to really coach through every day to see how they were doing, and often they never made it to the premiere or even to the dress rehearsal. So I have to say, this is also one of the main reasons why I started this project, and why I kind of spoke to people about it and say warning, because I was so worried about this particular thing. So mental health is so important, which can be helped, of course, by your network, getting to know yourself, understanding your rituals, what works for you, what helps you get through it. You know, being an artist is so complicated. You need something called, can I say, ego flexibility. In the morning, you're having a lesson and you have to be prepared to accept criticism and accept different things. In the evening, you're on stage and you have to be the diva, or you have to be the big man, and you have to be able to organize everything. So you have to have a very you have to have emotional intelligence and flexibility within yourself to be able to deal with all of these different things. Paulina, do you want to try?
Okay, yeah, sure. So then, perdón, ya ahora sí. El siguiente punto del que está hablando Julia tiene que ver con las redes de apoyo y la importancia de hacer networking y de tener gente a tu alrededor que te apoye, ya sea familias, parejas, amigos, pero que en esta carrera es muy importante eso. Ella lo vivió en varias oportunidades, que por el nivel de estrés y todo lo que significa esto, tener gente a tu alrededor que sea positiva en tu carrera es fundamental. Y el consejo que da es que si hay gente negativa, desháganse de ella inmediatamente, porque no es aporte para nada. Y lo que ella comentaba también ahí es que trabajando en la Ópera de París conoció a muchos artistas y tuvo la oportunidad también de conocer a su familia, y se daba cuenta que justamente estos artistas que tenían esta red de apoyo lograban tener más o una mejor carrera, o llevar mejor las situaciones que se presentan. Y el otro punto que comenta es sobre la importancia de cuidar la mental health, como ¿cómo se traduciría eso en castellano? Como sanidad mental.
Salud mental.
Eso, salud mental, gracias. Porque, claro, ella vio muchos ataques de pánico, mucho estrés, y eso es como, también fue un punto importante del por qué partió esta organización, y por qué el apoyo y la red que se teje alrededor tuyo es tan importante para lidiar con eso. Julia.
Okay, thank you. So part of mental health, I think, is taking everything in its proper proportion, and understanding that it's important to be able to take criticism, and understand that sometimes when you don't get when you do the audition is not successful, that you don't get the role, that something goes wrong. Please understand that there are often external reasons for this, whether it's a political reason, whether we had to give the role to somebody else because in the theatre we had to get rid of a production and we had to give the role to someone from before with an already signed contract. There are so many reasons why you didn't get the role, and it's not because you have a bad voice or you're a bad artist or you did something wrong. So it's putting everything into proportion. I think you're all on a pretty good level in terms of careers. So, but I'll say this anyway. Maybe you already know. Rejection is a big part of the business, and of course, most of the time, it is subjective opinions. The taste of one particular casting manager does not mean that you have a bad voice. Don't let it destroy you. And once again, learn how to put things into perspective. Another thing which is a very big deal is preparation. And I know that I know you know, but I'll say it again. Always be prepared. Successful singers are still working on their technique, and successful singers on the highest level are still studying. Always go back to your studying, always be prepared, and, be ready as a person to grow every day. It's a long process, and I think it's a never-ending process. I want to talk a little bit about auditions. I'm sure you've already gone through this, but I think from my experience, the first thing I would say is be polite to everyone. Even if you're nervous, even if you're anxious, even if you're very worried about it, be polite to everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone, from the person who meets you at the front door, to the receptionist, to the stage manager, to your pianist, to the people you speak to, because everyone talks in a theatre. Everybody talks to everyone. And if you get a bad reputation in one theatre, I can promise you other theatres will hear about it. We talk between colleagues. And with regards to auditions, if we're not sure about someone, if we weren't sure about something someone did, we will ask the colleagues, we will ask the pianist, how did they behave with you? Even sometimes I ask the receptionist, how was he when he was waiting for 15 minutes when things were late? It gives a good indication of the person, and I think it's very, very important. It's something you can control. It's something that is important. So this is one thing, protect your reputation, and above all, be polite to everyone. Paulina?
Ok. Entonces, después de lo que comenta Julia, es la importancia de ser capaz de recibir críticas y que comprendan que si algo sale mal en alguna audición, puede que sean por razones externas, que a veces no tienen nada que ver con el nivel o la calidad de tu voz, sino que pueden ser cosas que tienen que ver con el teatro mismo, de que tengan que darle el rol a una persona por un contrato previo o cosas así. Entonces ahí el mensaje es como que consideren estos rechazos con perspectiva y también como algo que es subjetivo a la persona que está haciendo el casting en ese momento, y puede que a esa persona le gustó un tipo de voz, pero no quiere decir que la tuya no sea buena. Y el otro punto que tiene que ver con la preparación y lo importante que es estar siempre preparado y considerar que la preparación es a lo largo de toda la carrera, y comenta ahí que todos los cantantes famosos y exitosos están constantemente haciendo revisiones y volviendo a estudiar y siguen perfeccionándose durante toda la carrera, y que es un proceso que no se termina nunca. Y el tercer punto que tocan, o cuarto punto que tocan en esta parte, tiene que ver con, al momento de audicionar, la importancia de ser educado con todos los que te cruzas en el teatro, desde la persona que te abre la puerta, el pianista, el stage manager, todos, a pesar de los nervios que puedas tener o de todo lo que estés pasando por el momento de la audición, el ser educado es fundamental, porque es algo que se transmite finalmente. Todos en los teatros hablan, y muchas veces ellos mismos, los que hacen los castings, preguntan más sobre las personas que están audicionando, y van a preguntarle al portero cómo estuvo esta persona mientras esperaba 15 minutos antes de audicionar, o al pianista, o si... y este como tipo de reputación se pasa de un teatro al otro. Entonces, consideren eso, lo importante que es proteger tu reputación, ser siempre cordial, siempre educado, porque a la larga te puede jugar a favor o en contra.
Great, thank you. So what are we looking for in an audition? Of course, the first thing is quality of voice. This is number one. And if you have a spectacular voice with a beautiful color or something particular, this is, of course, very important. Also, communication with your voice, being able to express everything in this particular area with your voice and with your technique. So to be able to do this, it always comes back to the same thing: improve your technique to be able to show all these different emotions, all these different colors, and everything communicate. An audition is a performance. There is nothing different between an audition and a performance. Everything has to be shown in your voice. I love what Toscanini said. He said, "Il massimo di rigore, il massimo d'espressione." So the important thing is the combination of the two: the maximum of correctness, precision, exactness in the study of music, and the maximum of expression. So both need to be there. Of course, this is very difficult, but you need to find a way that works for you. One other little tip, I'm sure you know, please start with an audition piece that you want to sing, that shows you off in the best way, and not an audition piece where you would need to warm up before, because even if you've warmed up before, once you get on stage, you're nervous. So start with something that you can sing in your sleep, something easy. And of course, make sure you can sing everything you propose on your list. Nothing should be a surprise. With choice of repertoire, I think is a whole nother discussion. Maybe we can do this, Alejandra and Paulina, at another time, because it's very specific. But always choose what you feel best represents you. Enjoy your strengths and work on your weaknesses. Everyone has a particular strength. whether it's voice, the quality of voice, whether it's acting in your voice, whether it's musicality. Everyone has something that is a strength, and you have to show that off. I also think, I believe deeply in filming oneself sing, filming oneself audition. This you can easily do even in your own house, so you can see exactly what you look like. And also what I think is useful for those who are still in a program or something is to be honest with your fellow singers. If you see that someone is making like a stupid face or that something doesn't work, tell them. Be a good colleague and be a good friend and talk amongst yourselves and see what works. Paulina?
Ok, súper. Ya, entonces, ¿qué es lo que se busca en una audición? Primero que nada, la calidad de la voz, y a eso se suma si tienen un color especial o una emoción especial que se transmite con eso. Y en las audiciones también es muy importante la comunicación con la voz. Lo que estás transmitiendo con el área que estás cantando, la emoción, la técnica, como ese factor de cómo transmites y comunicas con la voz en la audición es importante. Y considerar que una audición es lo mismo que una actuación en un escenario. Y eso significa que hay que mostrar todo lo que se tiene. Y ahí Julia comenta una frase de Toscanini que dice el máximo rigor y la máxima expresión. O sea, considerar estos dos aspectos que son fundamentales, la técnica y también la expresión. O sea, ambos tienen que estar ahí. Y ustedes, claro, tienen que hacerlo buscando una forma que a ustedes les acomode. Y siguiendo un poco con eso también, que las audiciones tienen que ser, tienen que elegir áreas que les acomoden a ustedes, que ustedes se sientan cómodos y puedan, y elijan algo fácil. No elijan algo muy complicado, porque la idea es que ustedes se muestren y es mejor buscar áreas que ustedes dominen bien. Y con respecto a la elección del repertorio, un poco eso mismo, que también elijan lo que mejor los representa a ustedes en términos de qué tipo de voz tienen. Si es la musicalidad, elijan piezas más musicales, la fuerza, el color, y todo, y en el fondo temas que los representen, y que puedan cantar toda la lista del repertorio que ustedes proponen. Eso es importante también. Otro consejo que da es que se filmen cantando y se filmen audicionando, porque eso les da una visión distinta de lo que ustedes quizás piensan que están haciendo. Y lo otro es ser honesto con sus compañeros, con sus colegas cantantes. O sea, si ustedes ven que alguien está audicionando o está estudiando, practicando, audicionando y hay un gesto medio extraño o algo, coméntenselo. Eso. Julia.
Okay. So just a couple of tips. With regards to your CV, for those who don't have an agent, CV should only be on one page with the most current experience first, and only going back 3 years. We don't want to see pages of information and things that were done 10 years ago. It has to be up to date. There has to be evidence of the roles you can sing, and it has to be very pragmatic. So this is the CV. Also, a good network will help, but first of all, you need to help yourself. So once again, always be prepared. Good teaching, good coaching, good preparation. Do whatever you can to get to the right person. You know, today with social media, we have access to almost everyone, and especially now with the health crisis, a lot of artists are writing back to people who ask them questions. People are doing masterclasses. Everything is open. So do what you can to get what you need and to get noticed. Be a good person and be a good colleague. No one wants to work with difficult or bad people. This will definitely make a difference and make you stand out. Learn English. I know it's obvious, but it's so important to be able to say some words in English, and when you go to different countries, to be able to make yourself understood in these languages. Learn other operatic languages. Today it's easy to have language exchange with people on your phone. And this is not just to understand what you're singing, it's to understand different cultures. Visiting Florence in Italy will make your singing better. If we're singing Giannischicchi, if you go to Rome, you will understand Tosca better. Everything is in the colors, everything is in the people, in the streets, in the history. If you're able to travel, if you're able to visit, this will make you a better performer. And this brings up other questions of being brave, being courageous, opening up your horizons. A lot of you are already living abroad, so maybe you understand this already. Apply for grants, apply for scholarships, competitions when it's the right time. And I had a couple of, let's say, tips of websites that maybe I can give you, Paulina, to pass on. These are websites where you can see what's available, what competitions are happening, inform yourself, and go ahead in these different things to open up your mind. Paulina?
Ok, importante el tema del currículum. El consejo que da Julia sobre esto es que sea un currículum de una página, no más que eso, y que llegue hasta 3 años atrás de la carrera que han hecho. Cuando se encuentran con currículum que son de páginas y páginas y años, y como que eso no funciona. Y que sea un currículum que presente, que evidencie los roles en los que han cantado, que sea conciso y concreto. Importante nuevamente el tema del coaching y de estar siempre preparados y usar las herramientas que están disponibles en este minuto debido a la crisis del COVID, en que hay muchas cosas online. Contáctense con maestros con los que hayan trabajado o infórmense de workshops o cosas que pueden estar disponibles en la red. Importante ser buenas personas, que durante toda la carrera, como un consejo general para ustedes, aprendan inglés, aunque sean algunas frases, porque eso hace la diferencia y al momento de viajar o de poder hacerse entender en otros lugares. También que aprendan otro idioma operático, y que no sea solo para entender lo que están cantando, sino también para entender la cultura o la historia que están contando. Y si tienen la posibilidad de viajar, bueno, ahí comenta también, por ejemplo, el ejemplo de visitar Florencia, de visitar Roma y de ver todo lo que hay ahí, los colores, que se traduce también en las óperas que vienen de ahí. Así que también aconseja que si tienen la oportunidad viajen, que sean valientes y abran sus horizontes, postulen a becas, a competiciones cuando llegue el momento en sus carreras de hacerlo, y eso, y infórmense de las cosas que están disponibles. Ella nos va a hacer llegar una lista de links de becas y competiciones que hay disponibles para que ustedes estén al tanto también.
Thank you. Thank you. Before Jenna speaks about social media and how to improve your profile online and how to best represent yourself, we want to take a few minutes to talk about our ambassadors. These are artists that we know quite well, sometimes very well. These are people that we feel are inspirational and that we feel bring forward the important message that we want to put across. We feel that these are artists that are going to, let's say, have most of a voice in the future, and we wanted to discuss it. So maybe you can take inspiration from how they are, how they convey themselves. So I'm going to share my screen now on our website. Can everybody see the screen? Is this okay? So this is our Opera for Peace website that I invite you all to go on. So we have a whole list of things. So we're going to go into ambassadors. And the first ambassador I would like to talk about, here we have Renea Barbera, who's a wonderful inspiration to us. I'd like to start with a soprano called Zeina Barum. Zeina is an amazing woman. She's very young. I think she's maybe only 25. But in her very young age, she has managed to build up an incredible network. She has founded the first opera festival in the Middle East, in Jordan, which is called the Amman Opera Festival. This festival is patronaged by Her Royal Highness Queen of Jordan. But Zeina is somebody also that has a very diverse profile. So this is maybe something for you to think about when you think about how you want to build up your particular profile. Zeina is she's representative for the United Nations. She does a lot of humanitarian work. She has now taken on a project with the United Nations against food waste. So this is a very atypical profile, but it's something that I feel really relates to the world in which we live in today, which is young people are doing many different things that will help to increase their presence. Paulina, do you want to talk about something?
Absolutely, yes. Julia está comentando sobre los embajadores que son parte de Opera for Peace y está comentando el caso de Zeina, que es una artista que creó el Festival de Ópera en Jordania y que bueno, es un nuevo festival de ópera y en el fondo lo que ella está mostrando es que el rol que está cumpliendo ella como una cantante joven es no solamente el cantar, sino que también participar de diferentes actividades y de crear su perfil en torno a las acciones que ella hace. Ella también es embajadora de las Naciones Unidas y tiene esta campaña contra el food waste, que es como cuando la comida se bota, como evitar que el desperdicio de comida. Y en el fondo ese es el perfil de embajadores con el que trabaja Opera for Peace, que son gente que está contribuyendo no solamente con su arte al mundo, sino que también con acciones puntuales y importantes. Y para que también lo consideren como una forma de presentarse ustedes o de crear su perfil a la hora de lo que significa eso y qué es lo que Jenna también va a empezar a profundizar.
Thank you. So the next artist, let me see if this works. Oh, it's not working. 1 second. Okay, sorry, it's too quick now. The next artist we want to speak about, and we just passed him, unfortunately, 1 second, is,
I think it's because of your Zoom, Julia, that it's probably using a lot of bandwidth and it's making
okay. Well, it passed, but maybe you saw Larry Brownlee. He just went by very quickly. And I want to speak about Larry because Larry I know very well. He's a very good friend. He's someone I worked a lot with in Paris. And he is one of the most generous people, generous colleagues, generous souls that you can ever hope to meet. Maybe some of you know him. You definitely know of him. And, you know, he's really somebody that however much work he has and however busy he is with his career, he always finds time to speak to young artists, to inspire people, to help us with our work. He said to us, you know, whatever event you want me to be part of, to fundraise or to help, I want to be part of. And, you know, this is something that really makes us so happy working with him and doing what we're doing, is this huge generosity of spirit. Paulina?
Ahora sí. El otro ejemplo de embajador que Julia nos estaba mencionando es Larry, que es la persona que está anterior a Nicole Carr, que es un muy buen amigo de Julia y que lo menciona como ejemplo porque representa mucho el perfil de generosidad y de estar siempre dispuesto a trabajar por estas causas y de querer conversar con la gente, con los artistas nuevos en su espíritu de que por mucho que esté ocupado, igual le interesa participar, inspirar a la gente, y si hay alguna campaña de fundraising que haya que hacer o alguna actividad de Opera for Peace, él está siempre muy comprometido con eso. Julia.
Thank you. So now we're on Nicole Carr. I will speak about her. Nicole, so is one of the most, let's say, exciting sopranos of her generation, Australian. And Nicole is very passionate about accessible and affordable education, because coming from a geographically isolated country, even though it's a rich country, she understands the importance of strategic partnerships and connections. So she's very interesting for us because we discuss a lot about the best ways to make things easier for artists from different countries in the world, people who don't live in the US or who don't live in Europe. So Nicole is very interesting in this particular capacity. I'm going to see now if we move on. Jenna, do you want to speak about Rahab?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Rahab is a mezzo-soprano. She's currently singing in all kinds of places all over the world. She is a brilliant woman. She's very passionate. She's very inspiring. She feels very strongly about supporting young artists who come from backgrounds that are maybe untraditional for artists, or backgrounds where they were challenged in even pursuing this career for family reasons, for economic reasons, anything else. But this is something that's really particularly powerful for her in opening up the opportunities and encouraging artists who feel restricted from pursuing opera specifically as a career. You know, there are even cultural issues that come in here. If you are an artist with heritage from, you know, certain countries in the Middle East or Sub-Saharan Africa or Tunisia, or, you know, these are places where opera is not necessarily in your culture. It's not in the lexicon of even what you're learning in school. And so when your family, you know, when you discuss this and say, I want to be an opera singer, you might be met with disappointment or frustration. And Rahab specifically wants to enable artists to pursue this career in spite of any barriers, which is really unique in this.
Paulina?
Yes, sure. So, Julia habló sobre Nicole Carr, que es una soprano australiana, que el rol o la acción más importante que ella está haciendo y la razón por la que eligieron como embajadora es porque ella como que está en pro de lo que es la accesibilidad y educación como más barata. Si bien ella viene de Australia, que es un país súper rico, es un país que está geográficamente aislado y es más difícil por lo mismo llegar a este tipo de quizás de educación más accesible, y lo que ella hace en el fondo es de promover o ayudar a que se generen estas estrategias de conexiones, de redes que permitan que esta accesibilidad llegue a más gente. Y Jenna nos estaba comentando sobre Rehab, que es una mezzosoprano, y que ella está muy involucrada en lo que se refiere a apoyar artistas con backgrounds bueno, backgrounds que no tienen que ver con la ópera, que vienen de lugares como Túnez o en lugares en África que no tienen como una cultura quizás más operática, pero que a ella le interesa que eso no sea una barrera y poder abrirles o darles oportunidades para que estos artistas puedan desarrollarse en este campo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jenna?
Yeah, so countertenors sometimes don't get enough love in the world. Other voice types too. I know we have a contralto on this call, and we love celebrating all voice types at Opera for Peace. And Anthony Roth Costanzo is one of the world's premier countertenors, premier artists. Anthony finds a way to expose opera in a larger capacity to areas that he's connected to in the art world, in the film world. He thinks outside the box constantly. If you look at his recent recording release, if you look at the projects he does where he marries Philip Glass with music of Handel, Anthony encourages artists to truly think outside the box, be creative with your programming. If there's not a path that exists for you, create one. And Anthony has done this, and he's also extremely important to the LGBTQIA+ community, the queer community. Anthony's very outspoken about this. He's just extraordinary, and he really encourages artists to be themselves. And again, if you don't see a path that exists for you, whether it's because of your FOC, whether it's because of your background or your sexuality or any of these pieces, your gender identity, forge your own path. Anthony's one to follow and learn from in this, absolutely.
Okay. El siguiente ejemplo es sobre el contralto Anthony Roth, que él lo que hace es exponer la ópera en todas las áreas, no solamente en la parte clásica, sino que también en el cine, en la poesía, y promueve como esta idea de pensar fuera de la caja, y que si estas cajas no aplican a ti, entonces él como que motiva a los artistas a que creen su propia caja, por decirlo así, o inventen la forma de cómo presentarse y cómo exponer su trabajo. Él también apoya mucho la comunidad LGBTQ, y ese es como su principal mensaje en el fondo, como en motivar a los artistas a que sean ellos mismos, ya sea en una caja que existe o en una que haya que inventarse.
Thank you. Jenna.
Joyce L. Corey, another artist who we love, and I'm very lucky, as Julia said, we're very lucky to call some of these artists friends too, that they're personal friends. Joyce is a Lebanese-Canadian soprano. She is extremely vibrant, extremely creative. A passion project or a passion issue for Joyce is bullying in schools in particular. She's really spoken out a lot about this. She was bullied as a child, and she also sees that there's sort of this bullying culture in many areas of the world, including in the opera industry. And so this is something that Joyce is very passionate about speaking out about and fighting against. She's all about artists being able to have their own self-confidence and also to encourage the confidence of other people. She's a great friend and colleague, and she believes that you should act the way to other people that you want to be received as yourself. But that's something she's very passionate about and speaks out about regularly, and stunning woman. clearly.
Ahora sí, el caso de Joyce, ella es una cantante del Líbano canadiense y como la pasión o el tema que la apasiona a ella tiene que ver con el bullying en el colegio, y comenta que ella fue, bueno, creo que se usa ese término bullying en todas partes, cuando ella estuvo en el colegio, entonces, y ese es como el tema que la mueve, y considerando que esta situación se repite no solamente en los colegios, sino que en muchas partes más, y tratar de construir como self-confidence, como confianza, para que los artistas tengan como confianza en sí mismos, y lo que a ella le interesa, promueve también, es el que te traten como a ti te gustaría que te trataran. Jenna.
Okay. Trying to move on here. One sec. If I move this. Jenna, do you want to try? See if it moves on.
I could, 1 minute. My internet might be faster than yours. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
I think when Zoom's running, sometimes it doesn't like having, you know, I have to say, Julia, it might be easier. We can just talk. We can talk through the remaining names if you want.
Okay. Oh, here it is.
Okay, good.
It's gone again.
Okay.
Solomon.
Yay. I know we've got some bases on this call. So if you're a base, you need to know who Solomon is. Solomon Howard is a wonderful guy. He's from the East Coast here in the US. Solomon grew up in a situation that was difficult, and he's been open about this in other interviews and conversations. It was an economically challenging and emotionally challenging childhood for him. He had a lot of responsibilities, and Solomon really is passionate about the idea of, you know, having sort of champions early on in your career, and that sometimes the people who are your inspirations could actually eventually become part of your life and bring you through. And I know he's wanting to do that for a lot of other singers and other artists. Solomon is always cool, calm, and collected. He doesn't act irrationally. I think about anything in his life, he evaluates, he plans, he consciously thinks about every move that he makes in his career. And I think there's a lot to take from that, in that your goal is balance, your goal is steadiness, so you can have a real 360-degree view of everything going on to reflect. And I think he's learned a lot of that in his life. But yes, and even if you're not a bass, follow Solomon, look him up. He's really cool. Also a great percussionist, randomly.
I didn't know that.
El caso de Solomon, él es de la costa este de Estados Unidos, y él tuvo una niñez o creció en un ambiente que fue económicamente y emocionalmente muy difícil, y eso lo ha hecho una persona muy consciente de lo que significa superar estas situaciones, y apoya mucho las causas de que haya un mentor o un champion que acompañe a los cantantes que están surgiendo durante toda su carrera, y que son importante apoyo en la vida y carrera de los artistas. Es una persona que es muy tranquila, como muy balanceada, que piensa mucho y evalúa mucho los pasos de su carrera y todo lo que hace, y eso es un aporte en lo que se refiere al desarrollo de una carrera de artista. Y entre paréntesis también es un muy buen percusionista, que eso es lo que Julia tampoco sabía.
Okay, so Brian Jade, going on to one of our tenors. So Brian is I would say one of our most important ambassadors, because Brian understands the importance of mentorship, and he takes the time to speak to other artists. Of course, a lot of big voice tenors, but not only tenors. He has taken under his wing also a mezzo-soprano, Rehan Bryce Davis, who is part of our Emerging Artists program. Brian came from a challenging, let's say, family. So he didn't have an easy childhood. And he's open about that too. And he used music as a refuge. So, you know, even if you come from difficult backgrounds, difficult families, a place where, you know, privilege is not an easy thing, please think about our ambassadors who have most likely followed the same path, and they've come out the other end. And Brian is very helpful and very inspiring to us with regards to mentoring other artists.
Bueno, Brian es uno de los embajadores más importantes que tienen, porque él se toma muy en serio y es uno de sus temas principales la importancia de ser mentor, y él se toma el tiempo de trabajar y conversar con artistas, y básicamente el mensaje es que no importa de qué tipo de background vengas, ya sea de privilegio o como con dificultades, él como que usa la música como refugio y ve la importancia también en buscar a estos mentores que te puedan ayudar a pasar estos caminos que pueden ser difíciles y ver la luz al otro lado del túnel.
Another wonderful countertenor is Josef Orlinski. So Jakob is Polish, but he studied in the US. And I just wanted to put him in because he's one of our, let's say, coolest ambassadors. I'm sure you all know about him. So he's a break dancer. He has other interests in his life that is not just music. And, you know, of course, it's also a marketing strategy now. But it's an important strategy because he has many followers on social media. He helps us to connect with, let's say, an audience and very young people. And, you know, for your profile, don't be scared to show other parts of your life. If you have other things you like doing, if you have other things that could help your profile, whatever it may be, I mean, Jenna will talk more about being genuine and being yourself when you represent yourself on social media. But he's really somebody that's very cool.
Y bueno, Jacob es también es otro ejemplo de embajador que él tiene mucha relación con el marketing y cómo se presenta en los medios, y es como un buen ejemplo de cómo presentar el otro lado de tu historia o de tu vida, y de ser genuinos en la forma en que lo haces.
So somebody that I'm sure everybody knows, Lisette Oropeza, so from Cuban origins and born in Louisiana. She's a very proud Latina. She loves where she comes from. She loves her heritage. She is the most hardworking artist in the business. She's like a machine. She's organized. She gives conferences about time management, about how to prepare yourself, how to deal with the business. This is an artist that was a late starter. Her career only really took off, I would say, 2 years ago. So, you know, even if you may be having a slow start, don't give up, because if you work hard enough and if you have the determination, you could get to where Lisette is at the moment, which is really at the top. I mean, Lisette is the boss. I don't know what the boss is in Spanish. She's the boss. Paulina.
Sí, mira, no sé si pueda traducir exactamente todo lo que Julia estaba comentando, pero bueno, Lisette es una de las personas que probablemente ustedes conocen también, pero es una de las personas que trabaja más duro en lo que se refiere a esta carrera, y está siempre haciendo muchas cosas que cómo lidiar con el trabajo, con el negocio, y cómo es una fuente de inspiración enorme y si se le podría poner un título sería como la jefa, muy, ¿cómo se dice? Ejecutiva y muy trabajadora.
Jenna.
Are we on Luca?
We're on Luca.
Great. I know Eileen swiped past, so I wanted to make sure. So Luca Pisarroni, wonderful bass baritone. Luca was actually born in Venezuela. Although he's Italian, he spent the first 4 years of his life there, and then his family moved to Italy. So Luca actually speaks Spanish as well as Italian, as well as English, as well as some French, some German. So he's very, very passionate about the use of language in music, and he's a big believer that artists, when possible, should speak more than one language, because again, it allows you to connect to, as Julia said earlier, these other cultures and other people. Luca has also been very outspoken about being a feminist, and I think this is something that's really cool and unique, that he uses his platform for supporting also women in music, that this is something that's very important to him. So I think that celebration of culture through language, and also in supporting other colleagues, particularly women, is really something that sets Luca apart. Very fun guy, very funny.
Súper. Luca nació en Venezuela, si entendí bien, y es una persona que es muy apasionada en el tema de aprender nuevos idiomas y que la música es un medio de comunicación importante y aprender y de conectar con la gente y las culturas. Entonces él boga mucho por el aprender distintos idiomas y también apoya la causa feminista. Es una persona, comenta ahí Jenna, súper entretenida y que eso, como que su tema es eso, como el celebrar las culturas y los idiomas y conectar y comunicarse con la gente.
Thank you. So the last person we want to speak about from our ambassadors before we hand over to Jenna is Golda Schultz. And Golda is a South African artist who is working now on the highest level. She's very inspirational, and she's a very important link for us to be able to communicate and to understand artists from South Africa, because artists from this region, like many other economically and politically challenged countries, they have their own problems and own things to get over, whether it's getting a visa, whether it's cultural, whether it's understanding how to present oneself in a certain situation. It's differences in culture. So Golda is very, very interesting for us, and once again, a very cool person.
Ok, Golda es una soprano sudafricana y para Opera for Peace es muy importante tener esta conexión con ella porque es de alguna forma el puente que les permite entender y comunicarse mejor con esa cultura que tiene sus características propias y sus dificultades propias y por lo tanto y tiene problemas puntuales y por lo tanto el tenerla a ella como embajadora es un link fundamental para poder llegar a ellos y saber cómo ayudarlos.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn this off. Jenna, over to you.
Great. And I know we want to leave some ample time for question and answer today as well. And if we don't get to any of your questions today, please know you're welcome to write Julia and myself, even DM us on Instagram, email us. You'll see my email address if you got the handout. Please, you're welcome to contact us. We're happy to answer questions when we can and offer advice where possible. I'm going to show just a very brief PowerPoint presentation about digital media, digital marketing, and personal branding, which clearly is important. And this is something everybody really needs to focus on right now during this time when people are at home, they're on their phones all the time. How do you connect with your audience? How do you grow your profile? It's a vitally important thing and something I think we could all spend about 3 or 4 hours also just on that topic, sort of like with auditioning, as Julia said. But as you're seeing here in what Julia discussed about building a career, in what we've shared with you about our ambassadors, the theme is connection. And that kind of connection is so vital and important, whether you're connecting with a friend, with a colleague, with a mentor, with an organization. I mean, our partnership, our collaboration with Opera Latino America is so vital. Also with Escena, you know, if you're part of an organization, if you're a member of something like this, you have so many resources available to you. It's extraordinary. Take advantage of those resources when you're offered them. And clearly you're all here today. I know many of you participated in the talks with Isabel and Eileen. Take advantage of the resources being offered to you through a program like this whenever you can, because not everyone in the industry will always be looking out for you in that way. It's vitally important. So I'll start the screen share, but Paulina, if you want to summarize that really quickly.
Bueno, ahora vamos a entrar en la charla de Jenna, que va a presentar una presentación cortita que tiene que ver con la comunicación digital y el perfil que ustedes se crean en las redes. Y al igual que lo que hablaba Julia, el tema que como transversal en esto tiene que ver con la conexión y la comunicación, ya sea con colegas, con amigos, con mentores, con teatros. Y la importancia de las redes y de, por ejemplo, en el caso de Escena, de esta plataforma que les da la posibilidad de conectarse y de que aprovechen estos recursos que están disponibles para ustedes, porque no todos en la industria están haciendo este tipo de gestión y cuidando y preocupándose por ustedes. Y que lo aprovechen y difundan sus perfiles y traten de crearlos de forma correcta. Entonces ahora dejamos a Jenna ahí para que vaya en el tema más profundo.
That's great. Okay. So can everyone see the screen share with the presentation? Is it showing up? Good. So as I said, I'll make this brief because I feel that the question and answers are really the most important part of this, but I want to at least leave some general wisdom to you on the idea of how you present yourself online. So I think what I'll do, Paulina, is I'll go sort of quickly through all of the slides, just since they each have a point, and then you can summarize if that works. With this, these are the organizations I'm affiliated with on a professional level, and we're speaking to you as part of our Opera for Peace relationship today. Please follow these channels, stay tuned, look for our news, interact with us. We're also happy to see what you're up to as well. So, you know, find us on Insta, Twitter, Facebook, we're everywhere. And same with Lenny's studio, please follow us, check us out. So the role of digital marketing and personal branding, your website, your social media channels can immediately amplify your voice and make you more available to the world, amplify your message, your personal journey to connect with a new audience and, of course, your current audiences. The key is to be socially conscious. What matters to you? What connections do you have? How are you giving back? What is your community? As you saw with our ambassadors today, singing is only part of their lives. They also support many other causes and they share about that on their channels. This is important. There are many artists who choose just to sing and they just do that and that's all they do in their public profile. That's fine, that's their choice. But I think you're much more interesting to all of us as an artist if you have something to say off the stage as well and if you're supporting good causes. Authenticity is key. Your content should reflect directly who you are as a person and what your priorities are. Don't feel the need to create some fake sense of self or some fake profile of who you think you should be. Be yourself, be true to yourself, and it's going to come through stronger. We will see that, we will experience that, and we are more likely to want to connect with you if it's real. Collaboration, huge in every level. When you are working at a company, contact them in advance. Say, is there a video I could create to promote this production? would it be helpful for me to go to a school that you support and do a class for children? You know, offer these things to the places that you go. You never know, there might be a really great collaboration to come out of that, something not only singing on stage, but beyond. And then be open to ideas. If you see something that inspires you, an artist that inspires you, an idea, contact that person. See if they maybe want to collaborate on something together. You never know. Anything is possible. Inclusivity is key. Be inclusive. Support your friends and colleagues. Share their work. It doesn't always have to just be about you and what you're doing. If you are seeing something coming from somewhere that speaks to you, share it. Share that on your channels. Tell people why that's important to you. And to me, that's more brilliant and beautiful. And going back to what Julia said, that's checking your ego a little bit. And it doesn't always have to be about you individually. Be hopeful. This is a really challenging time for all of you, I know, as young artists, for all of us in this business, but it's okay to still have moments of positivity and hope and to dream and to share those hopes with the world. We do need to see that too. It can't always be bad news or we're all going to be very depressed and negative all the time. So please, if you have moments of happiness and joy, share that. Tell us what you think the future should look like. Our industry needs to hear that. And we want to hear it from you more than we want to hear it from others. And keep it simple. Set up any social media channels you don't already have. Professionally, it should be Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. TikTok is fine. You know, there are all these different channels you can be on. But have the pro channels for sure. Get them with your name or your name and your FAQ. And then have priorities immediately set up for everything that you need to do. Be very organized, like Lisette or Apeza organized, that sort of level. But yeah, if you have a great and solid social presence, you will be more appealing as a globally interesting artist. Think big.
Ok. Un segundo. Ok. Voy a resumir rápidamente las diapositivas que pasaron. La primera, bueno, en general se refiere a cómo presentar tu perfil en línea. Y la primera era usarlo como que tu perfil pueda amplificar tu voz y el mensaje que quieres dar y conectarte con más gente. El otro aspecto es ser socialmente consciente y conectar con la gente y dar de vuelta a la comunidad. Hay muchos cantantes que presentan solo su carrera artística, pero también es interesante ver otras acciones o actividades que hacen fuera del escenario que apoyan a comunidades o trabajos extras. La autenticidad en cómo presentas tu perfil también es muy importante, que refleje quién eres tú y tu identidad y tus prioridades. La colaboración también es otro aspecto importante a considerar. Cuando estás trabajando con algún teatro, contáctalos y no sé, si ellos tienen algún video que puedas compartir, hazlo o conversa con ellos por si tú te puedes relacionar con otros proyectos que ellos estén haciendo, a lo mejor participar de una campaña educacional o de una campaña de fundraising. Eso también te puede abrir puertas por otros lados. Y estar abierto también a nuevas ideas. Si ves algo interesante, contacta a esa persona, coméntale, no sé, o sea, trata de colaborar, como abierto a esas posibilidades. La otra cosa es ser inclusivos y compartir el trabajo de tus colegas. Si ves algo que resuena con lo que tú haces, compártenlo, porque eso también muestra un poco quién eres tú y de tu generosidad, y si obviamente es algo súper interesante, mejor que lo vea todo el mundo. Después el tener como esperanza y estar como compartir las cosas buenas también, compartir tus ideales, compartir tus momentos de felicidad, sobre todo en estos tiempos en que las cosas están tan complicadas para todos. Eso también es importante y quizás también mostrar cómo ves tú el futuro que viene para ti. Esos también son mensajes importantes que pueden ayudar a completar tu perfil, y mantenerlo simple, tener presencia en las redes más importantes, como Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Asegúrense de que sus nombres estén asociados a esas redes sociales, porque demuestra un poco su presencia también a nivel global y como profesionales.